They gave him a broken sword and expected him to beg. What they didn't know was that they had just armed a monster. In one heartbeat the giant would fall. Not to a better weapon, but to a superior mind. The courtyard was dead silent, swallowed by a freezing, heavy fog. A massive crowd of wealthy, mocking spectators stood shivering in the cold, waiting to watch a man be humiliated. The arrogant warlord stepped forward. His armor was a masterpiece of flawless, shining steel. His weapon was a heavy, jewel-encrusted broadsword, gleaming with unmatched wealth and terrifying, brutal power. He hadn't come for a fair fight. He'd come to make a statement. He demanded a duel not to test his skill, but to completely humiliate this solitary defender. To make the insult absolute, the crowd refused to give him a proper weapon. Instead, they tossed a rusted, completely shattered piece of scrap iron into the cold mud at his feet. It was the broken lower half of a forgotten sword. The blade was snapped off, completely useless in the hands of an ordinary man. The giant warlord laughed from behind his iron mask. The sound echoed through the courtyard. He fully expected the smaller man to fall to his knees, surrender his pride, and beg for mercy in front of the laughing crowd. But the quiet defender did not panic. His breathing never changed. Not a single muscle in his face betrayed fear, even as the mockery of an entire crowd rained down on him. He slowly reached down into the freezing mud, wrapping his heavily calloused fingers firmly around the rusted, jagged hilt. He didn't look at the crowd. He looked only at the shattered edge of the iron, and then at the heavily armored giant standing before him. And in the face of impossible odds, he simply smiled. He did not complain about his massive disadvantage. He did not wish for a better weapon. He simply shifted his grip. With one smooth, fluid motion, he turned the broken metal backward against his forearm, instantly transforming a failed sword into a devastating, close-quarters dagger. Insulted by the smile, the warlord roared. He charged forward with blind, arrogant fury, swinging the heavy, glowing broadsword in a massive, sweeping overhead arc, intending to cleave the defender in half. But a beautiful weapon cannot save a sloppy, undisciplined mind. The defender did not block. He managed the distance perfectly, waiting until the absolute last fraction of a second, then stepping directly inside the giant's guard, slipping under the massive blade as it crashed harmlessly into the earth. In one single heartbeat the fight was over. The defender drove his body upward. The jagged, rusted edge of his broken sword pressed flawlessly against a tiny exposed gap in the warlord's heavy armor, right at the pulse of his neck. The warlord froze. The heavy, master-crafted sword slipped from his trembling hand, sinking heavily into the deep mud. The giant was defeated, not by a better weapon, not by greater strength, but by a superior mind.
We human beings are obsessed with the tools of success. We constantly wait for the perfect moment. We wait for the perfect resources, the perfect equipment, the perfect conditions, before we ever take a single step forward. We tell ourselves that the jewel-encrusted sword is the only way to win, but we forget the ultimate truth. An amateur with a perfect tool is still an amateur. A master with a broken tool is absolutely deadly. The formula for success was never about what you hold in your hand. It was always about what you hold in your mind. Success demands two things and only two things: patience and determination. If you lack determination, you will never even bend down to pick up the broken sword. If you lack patience, you will never train long enough to know what to do with it once it's in your hand. If you rely completely on external advantages, on connections, on money, on the perfect starting position, you will crumble the moment those things are taken away from you. And one day they will be taken away. So do not complain about the tools you were given. Do not wait for the perfect conditions before you begin. Do not envy the man standing across from you with the golden sword, because a golden sword in untrained hands is just expensive scrap metal. Master the self. Build your internal power in the dark, where no one is watching, where no one is clapping, where no one even knows your name yet. Because the day is coming when you will be handed nothing but scraps. And on that day, it will not matter what's in your hand. It will only matter what's in your mind. This is new birth. Control your rhythm. Master your mind, and let the giant exhaust itself.